until the heavens came down and they felt like they can communicate some concepts on how that should happen. Are you struggling with devotional life? Because of the matter is this. The moment you start transitioning from school to work, life gets busier. You get busy to the level whereby you run empty. You run empty spiritually. And therefore, it's also very important that you are continuously building your muscle, your spiritual muscle, by engaging on some of the books that have been written on this point. Number two, your social life. So maybe are you struggling with friendship? Actually, one of the books I will recommend, I'm forgetting the name of the author, but maybe any one of us who has read the book can tell us the author. It's called, actually the book called Adulting. It's called Adulting. Navigating Friends, Finances, Family, and I think two more things. It's one of the books that it's a must read, especially for those of you who are transitioning from school to work. So make sure that whatever books you're reading, it's on a need basis. Don't just read novels because everybody's reading novels. Sometimes it's interesting when you're studying and say, I'm reading a novel. It sounds refreshing, but the question is, how is it helping you? Are we together? How is it helping you? It gets to a point in life where you don't just read for the sake of reading. Your mind is even shocked, and it's even tired of that kind of life. Number three, financial stewardship. So if you're struggling with budgeting and you're struggling with possibly, not even that money, you're struggling with how to make that money. So look at books that are talking about that aspect. Look at your financial needs. Because for some of us, it's I think I was talking to someone, and the problem is not money, because money we have. It's how to manage that money. Scale of make clip, how does it go?
But the money of cannot.
Yeah, it's that like
the money you have cannot solve your problem. Eat that money.
Eat that money. And it sounds nice. It sounds nice, but that is taking the teach of life. If that money cannot solve the problem that you have, save that money.
Eat it. Eat it so that you
Save that money. So make sure you also, where you feed your information is very important. Together, because sometimes you can get yourself, you are taking a lot of junk. Junk is not just the food that goes into your stomach, it's sometimes the food that goes into your soul. So many of us, we have fed our souls junk. Let me start with that. You are what you consume. That is a very good summary. Actually, you are a product of the things you consume. So most of us, we are not just taking a lot of junk health-wise, we are taking a lot of junk soul-wise. Our soul is filled with junk. Your hand was up.
Yes, I have this question. I forget it. Yeah, it's like you said that friends, it doesn't necessarily like your friend should be the person calling you, or like you should be calling each other. But like you should you can be the one who is calling.
Yes.
But like you feel like you are the only person who has been calling your friend. Like it's like you're forcing issues. You call too much. Like anytime, like you are the person who calls. Yeah. If you look at your call logs, you see like it's you who has been outgoing calls. like like it's not fine.
Yeah.
Like you called many times, and he's not calling you.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, problem sharing, maybe. That's why I'm using me. but I'm using a friend. So if I say friend, Frederick can be my friend.
But if it's a guy,
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about them, but I'm verified. I'm talking about the friend that you are talking about. So like even sharing problem, you realize that you're the only person who shares your problem. He doesn't share, or maybe kwani mtu haizi kuwa na shida. So is that really friendship or?
No, you see, friendship should move from being transactional to reciprocity. There's a difference between transactional friendships and friendships that are driven by reciprocity. Now, reciprocity says, Reciprocity does not say if I call you, expect you to call me back. Reciprocity says, what season are you in? What season is your friend in? Your friend might be going through maybe a particular season that needs you to call him or her. You need to do the donkey work of doing that for the sake of the health and well-being of the friend. But this is the catch. If it's just coming from you and you've checked the conditions are right, and this person that is not doing what you call reciprocity, then there's a problem. There is a hard problem. There's a veil between you and him or her. Now, one of the things you need to do for that matter is bring it up. I've been calling you, you've never called me. Have the audacity to ask. Because don't expect people to read your mind.
But
Now, if they're not, if that friendship, now, listen, if that friendship is not coming from a genuine point of view, there'll be that episode. Those episodes will be inevitable because there's something this person is hiding. The purpose, and that's why I've told you, friendships are very costly. That's why you don't have to have many of them. It takes a lot of time. You see, if I've, like today, I've come to spend a lot of my time here. I'm actually investing I've given you part of my destiny. I've given you part of my life. So if you're spending time with a friend, that is sort of transacting on the basis of your life. If I'm giving you a time, I'm giving you your life. Because time will never be recovered. Therefore, life will never be recovered. So if this person is coming and most importantly, you are the one who is giving out, you are pouring out, and there is not that reciprocity, there is some episodes of things that person is not bringing up. So you have to have the audacity of bringing those things out. Now, the other thing is this: we have to be genuine with our friends. You need to help your friend. We have said, most of us, we are not the friend we are looking for. Now, if you want to be a good steward of your friendship, if truly you find that your friend is struggling, and many times, especially in our generation, people are struggling with communication. People are struggling with communication. They're not saying what is going on. They're not even being mindful of possibly how you're feeling about what maybe you are sharing in that regard. Therefore, it becomes so tedious. Friendships become so tedious. So look at the factors. If the factors and conditions are right, and this person is not reciprocating, you call the shots. Tell the guy, or tell the person, I have actually be courteous. Tell the person, for the past number of days, I've been reaching out, and I've been asking how you're doing, but I've never heard about, possibly, you've never asked me about how I'm doing. Because our friendships need to move from hi to you. Hey, hello, good morning, too. And there's no good morning to you, good morning, too. Good evening, too. Good night, too. That is too shallow.
Or same.
Yeah, or same. Or same. You see, there is no that. And you see, most of the time, many people are in that cycle because they're not the friend you're looking for. Again, another thing. Don't do Jesus' work. I'm coming back to you. Don't do Jesus' work. Jesus died on the cross and he died for people. Don't die for people. Don't go on the cross for people. Don't try to become the savior. By the way, if there's any person who can change the heart of a person, is God. The heart of a human is so wicked that it takes the hand of God to save it. So you cannot save it with money, even if you take them out and other way to your home was over. They will not change. And then the other thing that you have to realize is that friendship is an overflow. You're giving from an overflow. Of course, there are seasons that you need to be the overflow. But there are most seasons you need to build your friendship to the level whereby it is an overflow from both ends. You are pouring out as I pour out. Are we together? And that should come from a point that has been transformed. People need to die to themselves. It is so, sometimes it becomes difficult when you have died to yourself when your friend has not died to themselves. Because they will be expecting of you things that you cannot give. Yes, Moshe, your hand was up.
Yes, he's mentioned about reaching out and no one says anything. And then I remembered ever since I got my first phone in from
Adios.
Ilikuwa noti ya ile.
Okay.
So I used to get airtime during Christmas to send messages.
Yeah.
So I did that for the promise plan for years after. But then there was 1 year I realized, how is it I'm the one, I'm always the one sending them out, and then now and like I've never gotten one before, so that it's me responding.
Yeah.
Well, for of course, for immediate family, because most of that I'm at home, so my parents, my siblings, and cousins are around. So those ones you don't have to send the text, exchange the messages. Bye-bye. So I found that really peculiar. So the next year I decided I'm not sending a single one.
Yes.
Not to anyone. So I wanted to know if I did the right thing because I've been asked a few times now to do work. Yeah, from you, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I think the Gen Z version is, if you don't send me a happy birthday, I will send you.
And that's why okay, listen. That's why I said our friendships are too transactional. You see, you cannot play out transactional with friendships. And one of the things is this: we don't have friends, we have followers. Most of us we think the 450 people who are following you on Facebook are your friends. Those are not your friends. Those are your followers. The people that you have on your phone book, they are your followers. They are not your friends. Now, this is it. It takes a lot of work to transform friendships from followership. Are you getting? It takes a lot of time. But it takes a lot of time to like I told you about the 4 boys club that we have. This is a friendship that we are talking of more than 7 years of us knowing one another, being with each other in season and out of season. Now let me explain something that is of importance. There will be seasons of offness. There will be seasons where you both of you might not be available. Be easy. Don't also be rigid with friendships. There are moments where possibly you will not call them and they'll not call you. Be okay. Now this is it. Do not find your identity from your friendships. If you try and find identity from your, and we'll talk about that in a short while, from your friendship, you'll run empty and bankrupt. That's when you, in seasons where there are seasons God will take you and God will demand you to be alone. And you have to make your friendships your friends understand that this is the season I want to be alone. I've had so many of those seasons where it is the wilderness time. It's the wilderness time, and this is the time I don't want you to help me. Now, another thing with friendship is that we try to fix each other. You're not there to fix one another. You're there to complement one another. And that's why I've said the reason why we're having relationships problems is because we have friendships problems. So we carry forward our friendship problems into relationships. So the way you behaved and moved around with your friend is the way you think your girlfriend or your boyfriend is going to treat you. And then it gets your time, your boyfriend does not wish you a happy birthday. And listen, and sometimes it's coming from a genuine place. Wait.
Patricia, kuna boyfriend?
Now, listen.
Patricia, kuna boyfriend?
Listen. No. Let me explain. And I think even Ben can help us here on this. There are moments possibly where you are. Sometimes I think we are too rigid with life. We think if the cause and reaction kind of a pattern. What if someone possibly they lost their phone? Or maybe something happened.
Kuna ule mwenye alitumia TV.
Those are some of the expectations we carry forward, and we expect that at this time, maybe for example, he or she maybe forgot is the word, and try to be kind with your friendship. Someone maybe was caught up and did not send you the birthday message in the morning, and they send you in the evening.
No, that's fine. That's okay.
Now, listen, there are people who actually also don't take that. And there are people also, maybe for example, something happened in the course
They're
of the
ladies, like, and I don't understand them.
and maybe the following day they told you, and that's why the reason as why we are finding it hard to understand is because we don't even trust our friends. We don't trust each other. So if you didn't send me a message, you are with someone else.
Possibly they're ladies, I
Listen,
understand them.
or maybe sometimes you just don't like them.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
You wanted to say something.
Hmm? On that line, is it good for someone to stay without maybe a friend, a close friend? Is it normal for someone to just to stay without any close friend?
Listen,
Normal, man.
okay, the thing is, we cannot say it is normal or abnormal. We also need to ask ourselves, first of all, it is not right to be, because no man is an island. But secondly, we need to consider what is happening in your space. Many of us have been hurt by our friends. So we are dealing with, we are reacting. We are reacting from the point of, there are no genuine friends. Because you are hurt. Many people, this is another thing. There are ladies and even some gents, some guys who go on and say, the thing is, you interact with them. You interact.
I'm in Blossom.
Or if it's for a gentleman, you interacted with a lover of money.
Yeah.
So you go on
Hating them.
trivializing everyone.
Like
saying
in your own
men are
excess.
trash or women are trash. You just interacted with one. So you have first of all you have to be true to yourself and say to yourself, these are my issues, and you have to make peace with yourself. Now when someone comes and say, maybe I don't want friends, my question from my personal perspective, I ask why. From your narration, I will make my conclusion. Maybe you are hurt. If you are hurt, take your time and heal. Go and mourn. By the way, go and mourn. Go and heal and cry. Have your time, because that is also very important. Going through those seasons of life is important. Are we together?
Can I just say something?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like we are hardly 25, yeah? So I don't think right now we can conclude. Okay, some of us are lucky enough to say, yes, I have genuine friends, yes, I have close friends, but we've hardly met the people who are going to be friends with us for the rest of our lives, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because now we are hardly 25. So we don't know how. I feel like on a personal level, I didn't know when I was 15 or I was 16, I didn't know how to put intention behind friendship. So I didn't form close friends and people who I can trust. But now I have the emotional maturity to say, if I wanna be your friend, there's intention and there's purpose. So we're gonna be friends. Like this. And
Let me add something on that. You'll see something that is so powerful. You see, guys, some friendships or some friends are seasonal. They're seasonal friends.
Yeah.
Maybe there are people you're going with them through a season of life. Maybe you're just there with them for. You see, many times genuine friends and genuine friendships is God given. Because this is it. We are living in a time, and I've experienced this firsthand, where as a gentleman, possibly you are doing life, and maybe someone comes, a lady comes along your way, and maybe this lady has been hurt by life, and she's coming to seek a shoulder to lean on, not a heart to fall in love with. I'm giving a case example. This lady is coming to seek for a shoulder to lean on, support, care, and maybe is just looking for a brother to do life together. And then for you are turning to look at it from a point of she's looking for a heart to fall in love. Now, you find that most of the friends and people that God has brought along our way we have convoluted them by our poor decision making. Because you are walking around looking for a heart to fall in love with, and people are coming looking for a shoulder to lean on. That's why most of us, our friendships are not, our friendships are dysfunctional. So the question is this: when people come along your life, you need to do a personal audit. Are these people coming to look? Are these people coming to look for a shoulder to lean on? And is it the right season for you to turn that into a heart to fall in love with? And it can only be one heart.
Maureen, basi after hii ujue kuna harusi yangu na Maureen. Maureen, Maureen, wewe pia unataka mahali pa kulina wala?
From shoulder to heart.
So I don't know if that is hitting home. Because for real, and this is it as we come to a close of that conversation. For some of us, we need to go back and do an audit of our friendship. You need to go and do an audit of your friendship. For some of us, we don't have the people, we just have acquaintances. And sad to say, these acquaintances are people who know something. They are people you know something about, but they know nothing about you. So you are trying to look for something that is not fair. It's a hard issue. And then most of our friendships, one of the things that is affecting it, it's competitive. So it's career competition, job competition, financial competition, relationship competition. It's a competition. It's not coming from a genuine point. You see, when Jesus, let me tell you something. Jesus had 12 disciples. When he was moving to the mountain of Olives, how many people did he go up with? 3. So there are people you are doing life with, but there are places that you need some and not need the other. Therefore, you don't open your life, you don't become an open gate to everything when it comes to friendships. I have 5 mentors.
Wow.
Now, these 5 mentors, one of these mentors is someone I open up about my life on everything. Actually, he's a peer mentor. He's a very peer mentor. He's just above me, I think it's 2 years old. And he's a brother. He's a brother. I can go tell him, bro, this is going on, this is what is happening. Now, there are some, these other 5 mentors, they're those who are mentoring me on spiritual front, on my ministry life. They're those who are mentoring me on my organization, the organization that I lead. And they're those who are mentoring me on the area of family and relationship. So I don't just go, when I'm going there, I know what I'm going to talk about. So should be with our friendships. Because you realize that sometimes, imagine if Jesus would take Judas to the mountain of transfiguration.
Angekuwa amemtoa timing.
Angeongeza bei.
Angekuwa amemtoa timing. Angembitei.
For my analysis, maybe this is what would have happened. He would have gone to the Pharisees. This person is not someone to joke with.
Yeah.
And he could have lost the place of being used to do the purpose.
Eh, si ndio ndio kama angekuwa amemtoa timing.
So the thing
Amemtoa Judas timing ya kumtii.
Judas angechange, not Jesus.
Judas would have not anything.
Angeongeza bei.
You see with God.
Awambie bado jamaa anaenda change.
God is from the beginning. So Judas, even if we think Judas would have, how many preaching sessions was Judas in?
All.
He saw miracles happening, but he never changed.
Lakini angeona ile mtu ana change white.
Listen, and this is more than this is it. Okay, this is it. You see, one of the things, and I beg you guys, when you're reading the Bible, don't read the Bible for the sake of reading. Look, because we are Christians, right? We are supposed to be Christ-like. How was Jesus doing life? How was the social life of Jesus? How was it? You know, Jesus had a spiritual life. Could wake up, pray, in the dawn of the day and go to pray. Jesus had a social life. Imagine Jesus could just show up in a wedding. Alikuwa na matanga. He usually go for burial. Do you know there are people who died during the lifetime of Jesus, and they were buried? We know that. So if Jesus had a social, the financial life of Jesus. In fact, when they were challenging him on the issue of taxes, they asked them, what is on that coin? And he said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to Caesar. So guys, when we are reading the scriptures, let's also look at how did Jesus do life. Because for me, I see the interplay of all this in the life of Jesus. So also is with our friendships, and not just our friendships. Our career life, the way we go our career life, the way we carry along our professionalism and stuff like that. The other thing is this. Let me mention this as we come to an end of that conversation. Some of the people some of us, we have sacrificed sacrificed eternal impact of friendships on the bedrock of relationships.
Pardon?
Some of us, we have sacrificed the eternal impact of friendship on the bed of relationships. Some of us, we are dating people we are not supposed to.
Yeah.
Some of us, the way we are dealing with the people around our space is not the way God expected us to do that. And you see, there's no I'm telling you that. It's also coming from a point of just looking at how life is happening and asking yourself difficult questions. Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do this? You see, the reason as why Paul could write to the church of Thessalonians and tell them, pray continually or pray without ceasing, is because life should be a prayerful life. You don't wait until you are going to a prayer center to pray. You don't wait until it is 3 in the morning. There are people who are saying you can only pray at 12 midnight. That is why are moving around. Demons are moving around even now. There's some people who are saying, let me give you a case study. Paul was with who? When they were going to the temple, and they met the guy who was seated at the Peter and John, right? So Peter and John, the Bible said that they were going to the temple to do what? To pray. Sasita. They were going to the temple to pray. They come to the gate and they meet this guy who was a beggar, and he had a disability, and they did not need to call a prayer meeting to do a miracle. You see how disciples were doing? Like, that's what I'm trying to help you think. Our posters. So most of us, we don't know how to live in the moment. And you see, Christianity is not a religion. Christianity is a relationship. That as I travel to this place to come speak to you, when I'm in the car, I'm too spiritual. When I'm cooking, I'm as spiritual as I'm praying. When I'm in the shower, I am as spiritual as I am seated somewhere in class. You don't wait until you come from class so that you can wear a spiritual posture. You understand? Yeah. So we need to do life in moments, moment by moment. You understand? And that's why even sometimes how we handle life becomes so difficult, because most of us, and this is true, most of us, during the time when we will be seriously looking for a life partner is when we will start going to prayer mountain. Absolutely. And you see, sometimes I think God, I told you God is not fair, God is just. Sometimes God is looking at, so right now is the time to listen to me. Why don't you listen to God when you're looking for that opportunity? Why don't you listen to God when you want to leave the house? The problem is when you live, when you dichotomize your life in sacredness and what is the opposite of sacred? Secular. So when we dichotomize life on sacred and secular, we tend to live it, we don't enjoy the moments that God gives us. You see, when you're meeting with a with a street person, it's as spiritual as when you're shaking the hand of Christ. So the honor that you give to Rev is the honor that you need to give to anyone you meet on the road. You don't dichotomize your life. And that's why many times we don't get to where we're supposed to be. God sometimes allows us to mark time in particular places until we get it right. And you see, when you miss on God, you miss on everything. Because your relationship with God, and I don't know why I'm saying this, I pray that the Spirit of God will open our eyes to understand what He's saying. Many times the reason as why we battle with this is because we are not listening to God in moments, moment by moment, season by season. We tend to secularize some things, we tend to spiritualize some other things, and that's why we miss it. And you see, there is nothing as hard as being taken out, mark timing in a particular season of your life until you get it right. Because you have to, with God, you have to get it right. Because your relationship with God is not one of the ingredients. You see, when you umepika nyama, usiwache niweke dania. So wacha sasa niongeze, ni nini mnaongeza? Wacha niongeze kitunguu. Wacha niongeze potatoes. Wale watu wetu wa the mountain. Lazima niweke waru kwa nyama. This is the time to add. God is all that. God is all that. And until we know that God is all that, we will struggle in our finances, we'll struggle in our relationship, we'll struggle. And you see, it is even saddening when you're born again and you're struggling and you don't know why. It's hard, guys. It's hard. It's hard. And until you trust God, you trust God for deliverance. Deliverance. Sincerely speaking, let me tell you this from a theological perspective. Christians cannot be possessed by demons, but Christians can be oppressed. So you're finding some things are difficult. The tires of your life are not moving. Zimejam. And you don't know why. You look at your relationship, it's messed up. You look at your finances, it's messed up. You look at your physical health. Because if your body is not fit enough, you can't serve. Unapigiwa simu uanguke ndio uje kanisa. Because even your body is not helping you to navigate life. Are you together? The way you treat people, get it right. The way you handle transition, get it right. The clip that we watched on the caterpillar transforming to being a butterfly. You see, the Bible says in the book of Romans, the creation testifies of who God is, but we don't see. So, for example, when a caterpillar is transforming to becoming a butterfly, if the caterpillar misses the moment, it will die a caterpillar, but it was not created to be a caterpillar. It was supposed to transition to becoming a butterfly. If it's you see, like for example, scientifically, a caterpillar is supposed to wrap itself in a cocoon, and it has to make sure that the timing is right. So it will wrap itself, and between the period of 3 days to 21 days, it will be in that cocoon waiting for the right season to shed off. In the desert caterpillars, sometimes they take more than 3 years until the weather is right. Staying in the cocoon for 3 good years. No movement, no nothing, 3 years, waiting for the timing that is supposed to be right. And that's why we who are young people, most of us end up wasting away. We waste our youthfulness. Sometimes caught up in patterns, behavior, and issues that will make us mark time. Because God is waiting until you get it right. You can be affluent, but until you get it right. You can be influential, but until you get it right. You understand? And how better is it when you get it right now? Well, one of the things that God taught me around 4 years ago is to grow up with my generation. You see, let me tell you, this is life happening. Don't wait for another life to happen. This is life happening. When you guys are waking up in the morning to jump, when you guys are serving in church, when you guys are doing stuff, that is life happening. But most of us, we miss destiny helpers and connectors and people who are supposed to be used to God. Let me tell you, it will take, let me rephrase. Some of the angels you have been praying to God to send are seated right here. So, right here. But because they don't have good hair, they don't have a good accent. You're looking for an accent. You're looking for a dressing code. They don't look like it, but they're here. And you miss life. You miss life. Let me tell you, by God's grace, I've gotten opportunities to speak in some of the platforms. I don't think I should be speaking from a humanly thinking. But God has opened those doors because of people that I served with, people that I've grown up with. Some of them are mentees. God has lifted them in position and they think, I think I can call Okanda to do this. We can call him to do this. We can call him to do this. Some of them have mentioned my name in places because the angels you're praying for, they're seated right here. If you have, if you're going to have a human eye, you'll not see them. In fact, the circumstances that surrounds them will make you not to see them. You see, there are people right now who can call the president, and it digs. I should believe it. I'm like, oh, Jose was my friend in high school. Oh, let me talk to him. When they're going to come and leadership. Thank you for Now, what I'm telling you, what I'm saying, guys, can you steward and treasure this angel and spread it in church? When you guys are serving in church there, can you spread it? You go. Like, when after we have come from this camp, you go and mentor at least 2. You go and look for at least 3. You go and look for like 4 sisters. Walk with them. Share with them some of the things you have learned until we get it right. Because most of the time, some of the opportunities that you have been praying, looking forward to get them, are seated right here. Seated right here. But because we don't have we don't see people with the eyes of God, we lose it. And we lose it so bad. And you see, let me tell you, there's nothing as bad as missing an opportunity that God has opened. It takes grace. It takes the hand of, it takes his mercy for that door to be opened again. And you see, God is calling us to live with the mind of Christ. You see, Christ never looked down on anyone. Zakayo alikuwa kwa miti huko juu. But he stopped. Akasikiza mzee akamwambia shuka leo ni wako. Now I will want us to read someone open the book of Genesis chapter 1. I want us to wrap up this session. The next 8 minutes. Genesis 1:26. Yeah. I want you can read Genesis 1:26.
Mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that we may live over the sea and the garden of the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground.
27.
God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God he created them, male and female he created them.
28.
God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground.
Okay, jump to chapter 2, verse 4. Chapter 2, verse 4.
This is the account of the heavens and earth when he created, when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens.
verse 5, verse 7.
Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now the Lord had planted a garden in the east in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of all the ground. Trees were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the trees of life and the trees
Hata mimi nilisikia hiyo, lakini
Right, go to verses 15 to 16.
The Lord took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to work. The Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden.
I want you to emphasize on that and increase your message.
And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die.
All right. Someone has to read chapter 3, verses 1 to 6.
The fall of man.
Then please some people.
The fall of man. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made. He said to the woman, did God really say, you must not eat from the tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat from the fruit on the trees, from the trees in the garden. But God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die. You will not surely die, the serpent said to the woman. For God knows when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food,
I want us to pay attention to that part.
when the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it.
So God creates, of course, you know the creation. God creates the creation, and everything that God created, the Bible says it was good. The chameleon was very good. It's actually very good. The warthog, God looked at it and he said,
good.
it is good. Huh? God looked at the pig, and he said it was good. And on the sixth day, God comes and says, let us make man in our own image and in our own likeness. And God went ahead to make man in his own image and his likeness. He picked dust from the ground and formed the man. And before that, God had already made the garden. The garden was beautiful. And God took the man, placed him in the garden. Are we together? That sequence is very important. That God creates the niche and then takes the man and puts him where he had created. Because most of the time with God, your location determines your allocation. Your location determines your allocation. If you miss on your location, you miss in your allocation. Provision. When we talk about allocation, we talk about provision. We talk about sustainability. Because where God will supply where He has taken you, even if it's in the den of lions, it is even if it is in the pit, like for the story of Joseph, even if it is in the prison, in the case of Joseph, that God will give you sustainability where He has placed you, where you have taken yourself to sustain yourself. I can get what I'm saying. Because the question is, even for that career opportunity you want to apply, is God in it? Because God creates the. It's important for you to understand that God creates the opportunity and then He created you. That God created your purpose before He created you. That God did not create us and then He's trying to figure out. And then Daniela, what? We have seen she's now in law school. By the way, she's going to finish in the next 2 years. Wait, we need to be serious with Daniela. Like God does not operate like that. God creates the provision and the place before he takes us there. Are we together? And I've said that it can be in the prison, it can be in the pit. You can survive in that pit if God has taken you there. You can survive in that wilderness. The Bible says in the book of Exodus, the people were moving from place to place as the Lord led them. It is so interesting that when you read the book of Exodus, the Bible says that God actually, there was a pillar of fire in the night, and then the cloud during the day. Now you see in the desert, it is very cold during the night. And it's just a beautiful symbol that God would provide the fire to be with the people, that it was not hot enough to burn them, but it was also not cold enough to make them freeze. If you guys are good Bible scholars, you understand that. That during the day in the desert, it is very hot. But the clouds were not so obscure that they could not see where they are going, but it was not too transparent for them to be subjected into the heat. That God will make you survive where He has blessed you. Are you understanding? That if that career opportunity that you're looking forward to, even if there's pressure at work, God can help you survive that moment if God took you there. But you see, most of the time, if it was not started by God, you don't bring God in the course of the movement. You have to go with God. You have to go back to the starting point. You don't start the relationship and then you think, by the way, God must be this, and then we end up prayer mountain, or unasema, just come to my place. We'll cook and then we'll pray, and the end result is a baby. That was Huh? With God, you don't start and then you figure out, by the way, God now needs to come in this. No, God does not work like that. If it has been started by God, I've been doing a 5-week leadership program with some people, and I was telling them that leadership is a gift from God. And you can survive the turbulence of leadership if God has taken you there. Leadership is not for the weak. Leadership is not for the weak-hearted. Leadership, in fact, leadership is a calling. And it is a calling upon all of us. It just depends where the place that God has taken you. So in this context, we see God creates the garden and then He creates the man. God creates the water before He creates the fish. God does not create the fish and then He figures out the fish needs water. So most of us, we find our place in situations that we have taken ourselves there. And then we are figuring out, by the way, God, where are you? You see, it is not God who moved, it is you who moved. And if you have moved and God has not moved with you, it becomes turbulent, very hard. I'm telling you this because I have found myself in places I've taken myself. And let me tell you, it is not good. Hey, it is not good. You can curse the day you were born. You can actually, that's the day you say this Christianity thing is a facade. This gospel thing does not work. Yes, it's true, it does not work because you don't have it in the first place. You understand?
And how would you know that you're taking your place somewhere you're not supposed to?
Good question. You see, when you have taken your place when you have taken yourself in a place where God has not taken you, the Bible says that my spirit testifies with God's spirit that I'm a son. Sons must know. You don't stay at home in the place where you're born and you don't know that is your father. Sons know. If you're truly a son, you will know. There are job opportunities they are sent to me like this. In fact, people normally think, okay, that this is yours. I'm just sure this is not what God calls me to do at this time. So sons must know. And sons know how? Sons know through discernment. You have to discern. You see, discernment is not positive thinking. And faith is not positive thinking. Discernment is you placing yourself and asking yourself, what is the season of life that I'm in? For example, right now, you just look at around your season of life and you know this one I cannot contain a relationship. Wewe because of mioto unasikia kuna joto na miss mtu kuna kitu na miss. But those things happen. You say, hey, but then you go broke. Hey, I need to get a writing opportunity. Nataka kufanya writing. You get yourself into it. You get yourself in a scandal. A big one, a big scandal. So most of the time, if you're truly a son, because the Bible says that my spirit testify with God's spirit that I'm a son. And you see, if all of us here we are sons, I can testify that with your spirit and my spirit that we are sons. And by that virtue, I can tell you if you're getting it wrong. Because my spirit and your spirit testify that we are sons. I don't know if that is making sense. Therefore, if you're not a son, it is so hard to know. But sons, Christ said that my sheep knows my voice. You see, knowing the voice is an outcome of proximity. You know what proximity means? It's an outcome of closeness. That is the word I was looking for. It's an outcome of closeness. Now, if I'm trying to communicate to you, no highway, will you hear? You won't. So most of the time, if you can't know the season that you're in, go back to where the voice is coming from. Because most of the time when you're feeling that God is not with you, it is not Him who moved, it is you who has moved. God does not move on with us. God does not just, you see, God is omnipresent. We know that. But God can be very absent to you. God can be omnipresent here. All of us, oh, I can really feel the presence of God here. Wait, man, what are these people talking about? Because sonship is an outcome of proximity. And that should drive discernment. Are we together? Your hand is up.
Yes. Yeah, that narrative of this, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I interact with so many people, especially people of my age, who have just completed campus, who have gotten, yeah, somebody telling me that I've worked in maybe 5 companies within a span of 1 year, but hizo sio zangu, yangu is coming. So you are like, so why are you, what wanna quit? What's the problem? So they have excuses. So I'm like, what happens? Like, is it true? Is it really that those places they don't belong there, or youth also are misusing this term? Yeah, there's so many youth who.
You see, if I am the employer, but then if I'm your employer, and I'm doing an interview, because by God's grace I've set up in a few of them. If I'm an employer and I'm looking at your CV, and within a span of 1 year I see you've moved 5 jobs, I will not give you that job. Because your heart is restless. There are actually people who have been employed and they use the internet of the company to look for another job. For real. Because there is no restless. That's an outcome. Sorry, that's an outcome of restlessness. Me, I'll not give you that job. And you see, one of the things that is an outcome of that, it is this analogy that we're given outside here by the world. Try everything. When opportunities come, try. When opportunities come, try. Do it. Until when? And you see, our God is not a God of trial. God does not put your life in a test tube and then wants to see if there's a presence of effervescence. That is not the God that we serve. But most of the time we get ourselves into that because our hearts are restless. But then one of the things I will challenge you from a personal point, after this camp, spend some time with God and ask yourself difficult questions when you're with God. Is where you are projected by God? Like today in the morning I was having some times of prayer and there's some things I'm really praying hard about. And I was just asking God, in fact I was asking God to forgive me for some of the wrong decisions I've made, some of the wrong steps I have made, especially those steps I've made without consulting Him. because sometimes we can be moving too fast. And speed minus direction is equal to useless. You can be moving very fast but not going anywhere. And one of the things I want to give a caveat on this, when you look around your space, there are so many people moving so fast. And it can look like you're not making moves. So what do? You say, let me join the convoy. Mnakimbia pamoja, munapumua, mnafika kwa mlima mnasimama, mnakimbia, and then at the end of it you get to 30. By the way, if you're here and you're below 25, before you hit 25, make sure you have the clarity of your purpose. Clarity of, I remember when I finished my, you can go to the next slide. When I finished my, during the last day of my paper I did a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry, I told you. When I was doing my last paper, that paper was simple. Anyway, the lecturer was able to give us something that was palatable. So I finished the paper 1 hour late, 1 hour before time. So I was having a whole 1 hour to think about what I need to do with this paper.
Chemistry.
Yeah. No, I love chemistry. In fact, in high school I did the 3 sciences. Yeah, I love chemistry. I love chemistry. I still love chemistry. By the till today.
Wewe ulifanya chemistry? Ukufanya sasa? Huyu mwanaume.
Wait, let's come back.
Mwanaume.
Science. Okay.
Hiyo sio sayansi bwana. Watu si wajinga, hiyo sio sayansi.
Jina imetoka wapi?
Now, there's something I want to drive at. When I finished and all that, I had a heavy burden on that examination room. A heavy burden. There are very few instances God gives me such a heavy burden, very few. And when they come, I know there's something I need to do. So after the exam, after all that, I went, after I finished my fourth and I was waiting for my graduation. Actually, sometimes during COVID-19 lockdown, that is in 2020. That was during my I'm 28 years old right now. So that was my 26th birthday. That was my 26th birthday. So during my 26th birthday, I said I'm not doing a party. Some of us we do crazy parties during our birthday. It's like, yeah, we do crazy parties, and there's nothing wrong about it. But it just calls for me that day. I said I'm not doing a party. I'm not calling people, because previous year I called a party and almost around 70 people showed up. And conference will come kula surprise. So I had a burden to pray and fast for 21 days. And this is not prescription, this is just descriptive. Descriptive, totally descriptive, not prescriptive. So I committed myself to pray and fast for 21 days. And I was praying for one thing. I was praying and asking God to give me clarity of purpose. Day 1, clarity of purpose. Day 2, clarity of purpose. Back at day 21, I was not praying for a girlfriend, I was not praying for, but I was just praying, asking God. Because I knew my spiritual walk with God was getting better, but I needed clarity of purpose. You see, in this life, you need to make sure that you're getting right 3 M's. 3 M's. Number 1 is your master. Who is your master? Who is the master of your heart? Number 2, your mission. What is the mission of your life? Number 3 is marriage. Every other decision you make in life has to gravitate towards those 3 things. Your master, your mission, and your marriage. And you see, most of the time we run to the 3rd M. And this 3rd M can either amplify or distort the first 2. So the person you date can either amplify your relationship with God, your relationship with your mission, or distort it entirely. So for me, I was just praying for clarity of purpose, and let me tell you guys, God answered. That is the time I started my organization, 3 years ago. And I remember when I was starting the organization, first of all, we started doing virtual programs and all that, and I was the speaker. So on the last, actually on 30th and 31st of May 2020, I remember very well, I ran Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, who happened that I had hosted him when I was in campus previously. I had planned for a leadership summit, and I found him. I told him, by God's grace, is someone that we have a thing, we talk a lot, we engage. So I rang him and I told him, hey Prof, hi Dr. I've been organizing leadership programs, and young people are going crazy about it. Would you mind, do you mind coming and just sharing your leadership story? And he told me, I will come. I'll be available. I ran Wahiga Maura, who also happened to be a person that I had hosted previously, and by God's grace, he is also one of the persons that we have really been hosted in quite a number of times. And he accepted to come. So on those 2 days, I planned for a 2-day leadership conference, and people went crazy. In fact, we were having almost a number of people following on live on Facebook, and the Zoom account was actually full. We're having around a capacity of 100 young leaders who are running organizations and all that. On the 6th, I called on the 6th of June, I called this guy called Robert Burali. Told him, man, I know you've gone through a lot in life. I'd love you to come and share your story with the people. And he accepted. I think it should be on 14th of June, I reached out. Someone gave me the number of Professor Pielo Lumumba, and I called him. And Professor came. During that day when he confirmed availability, I knew this thing, God is in it. I knew this one, God is in it. And the organization was taking on so fast, and of course we were having very great momentum. And I put together a team of young people that we started doing this together. And let me tell you, it's now close to 4 years down the line. And the transformation I've seen. We have organized conferences, we have trained people. I've been to more than 100 high schools. I've done a lot of career mentorship workshops. I've talked to people in the corporate space, people who are young people in universities and all that. And I knew this is what God has called me to do. This one is what God. So when I finished my campus and I did a few programs within the year just to prepare myself, I did around 2 professional training courses. I paid quite a lot of money to do that, and I got a training with Kenya School of Government. I got to work for the Ministry of Youth Affairs for about 13 months, and that is when I had the conviction of going to do my master's in theology. Now, when I was going to do master's in theology, I didn't have money, and I told God, if truly God, you have called me to do this thing, you do what you know how to do it. And let me tell you guys, I only had 1,500 in my pocket. Previously, I had committed to do programs and training, so I was bankrupt. So I called a friend, but I want to go to school. I want you to send me 1,000 shillings, so that I can go get my admission letter from AIU. And he sent me. I went and paid and went to the school. I reported to AIU with my backpack with no school fees. So I was given a house and all that. And after the orientation, they told me, we want you to look for money because we can't register you if you have not paid something for the university. Miraculously, that weekend, I got a training gig. I went to do a training gig somewhere, and I came back and I paid some amount of money, and I got registered. Progressively, there's a family that just supported me with 50,000. My school fees per semester is about 135,000. There's a family that just supported me with 50,000. Progressively, I have seen the hand of God providing everything along that path. And just serving God, I've always committed to serving God through that number of years. I'm doing my 5th semester this time. And God has provided all those times. Because when God is where God is putting you is where God has provided. God cannot provide where He has not sent you. Provision follows purpose. Provision follows purpose. If you're out of purpose, you're out of provision. So most of us, we are out of purpose, and we want to see the provision of God. But the provision of God follows the purpose of God. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. Now let me explain something. In the scripture that we have read, when you read chapter 3, so God creates man, He gives him a wife and all, and life is happening. Chapter 3, we see the serpent stepping into the sea. And the serpent meets the wife. But remember, God talked to?
No.
God gave instruction
Adam.
to Adam. So we expect that Adam has, and of course, even from that discussion, it looks like Adam had communicated some things to Eve. So we see by the way she responds. But now this is the problem. She tells Eve, what if someone read for us? I want us to get that right. Chapter 3, verses it should be verses 2 or something. Verses 4. Where Eve responds.
Verse 2,
Yeah.
chapter 2, verse 2. The woman said to the snake, "You may eat fruit from the tree in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die."
Now, this is the catch. The woman had a, how can I put it? She had an idea of what God said. Because of what she was told. So we know she was told. Now, this is the problem. Because she has an idea, she doesn't have the idea of what God said. She has an idea of what God said. She went on even to say, God said we must not even touch it. God did not even say we should not touch it. You know, God did not say that. But she said, God said we should not even touch it. And it was a may. God said we may, you know, we may eat. And it sounds like she had an idea of what God said. And then later on we see that she said, the Bible said that when the woman looked at the fruit and then it was good for food. And it was also good to make them wise. She took the fruit, ate, and gave some to the husband who was right there. Because the two of them, when the two of you get it wrong, in the place of your personal walk with God, it can reflect in the way you live and the way you handle scenarios. And you see, guys, the battle of identity is a battle of your destiny. You see, there is no destiny, and destiny is what God has called you to become. If you lose it on identity, you lose it on destiny. And the problem is here because the devil comes and tells the woman, if you eat this fruit, you'll be like God. That is what she told her. But what does 26 say? Chapter 1, verses 26. Actually 28. I'm going to read 27 rather.
So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them.
God, male and female, he created them. The woman totally forgot that they were created in the image of God. And she transacted business to look like God. Let me subject this to us. All the battles we are facing, either battles of sexuality, battles of drugs, battles of gender, right now it's a big thing. This battle is directed towards the identity. When your identity is perforated, you don't have a destiny to hold on to. Because in most of the places we are raising a generation that does not have an identity that is drawn from God, it's because it results to a purposeless generation. And you don't have to belong to this. So because they lost it on the place of identity, they can't get it right on the place of their destiny. Now, Jesus comes later on, and you see, one of the patterns we see in the New Testament is that Jesus, the second Adam, experienced the same fight that Adam and Eve faced in the garden. Jesus is in the wilderness, and the devil comes and says to him, Jesus was hungry, he fasted for 40 days. And if you fast for 40 days, the only thing you can feel is hunger. And he comes and tells Jesus, you turn these stones into bread. Is that a good idea? Especially when you're hungry. It's not just a good, it is a very good idea. And then Jesus, of course, tells him that man shall not live by bread alone. And then they go. They go where? What was the second temptation? No, that was the third one. The second one was to jump, right? It was jump, right? Yeah, jump is the third one. Thank you. So it takes Jesus to the top of the a high point. Actually, it was a high because it was a desert. You don't expect buildings.
Kama time tower, kama
You have a tower? Okay, someone reads for us Matthew chapter 4. There's a one jump.
Last one was bow.
Yeah, read chapter 4. Matthew. Just read, we'll tell you what to stop. Let's listen. Sound. Is this helping someone?
Yeah. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, "If you're the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." Jesus answered, "Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and set him on the highest point of the temple. "If you're the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it's written, He will command His angels concerning you, and they will lift you up with their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "It is also written, God is the Lord your God who honors you." Again, the devil took him to a great mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. "All this I will give you," he said, "if you bow down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, Worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended him.
Lovely. I want us, this is what I want us to see. I want us to see the interlock of the three temptations that both Adam and Eve and Jesus faced. So the first thing, the devil tells Jesus, turn these stones into bread. Jesus had fasted, it was actually the last days of his fasting. So he tells him to turn the stones into bread. And Jesus was
Hungry.
Let's not forget that Jesus was
Hungry.
Can you say it louder? Jesus was
Hungry.
And the only thing a hungry person can do, especially when you are very hungry, you can only eat. And that sounded like a very good plan. But because Jesus, one of the things that the devil knew is that Jesus could turn the stones into, so it was not playing around. And that's why when any temptation you're going to get along your way, the devil knows you have the ability to do it. Like you have the potential of doing it. Sleeping around, aye. That's what you can do. Especially in this fallen one. Now, number two, what happened?
Then the devil took him to the holy city
Yeah.
and set him on the highest point of the temple. "If you are the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and they will lift you up with their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone."
That's good. So it's also a very good idea. The devil knew the only place that you can actually jump is a holy place. So it goes to the top of the holy temple. And he said, actually you can jump. And God, you see, the devil actually quoted Psalm 91. Just took a scripture from Psalm 91 and gave it to Jesus. And it looked like a very good idea because God can actually send help your way. And the third thing, he tells Jesus, bow down. All these kingdoms I will give you. Now, that is the number one. The number one temptation is the lust of the flesh. Because when your flesh is hungry, it can devour you. So what are those things that make you hungry? Especially your flesh. Number two, when the devil is telling Jesus,